If there was ever a moment, a singular second in time for Warner Bros. To drop the hammer on a Batman Beyond game, guys, it is right now. We are seeing a resurgence like never before. You have the comics going crazy, you have Fortnite dropping skins, and you have a fan base that is practically screaming for a return to Neo-Gotham. It feels like the universe is aligning for Terry McGinnis to finally make his proper comeback. Now, since the release of Batman Arkham Knight way back in 2015, Rocksteady and WB Games have been trying to find that next massive hit. And while Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had its fans, I think we can all agree it wasn't the spiritual successor to the Arkham legacy that most of us were hoping for, which makes the sudden silence on the future of the Batman franchise all the more deafening. Now, this isn't just me wishing for a game. If you look at the recent activity, specifically with the Fortnite collaboration, it acts as a sort of smoking gun regarding interest. Usually whenever there's smoke, there's fire. And with that being said, the reaction to the Batman Beyond skin in Fortnite wasn't just, oh, that's cool. It was a massive wave of nostalgia and demand. People were just buying a skin. They were buying into the idea of Terry McGinnis being relevant again. It showed the executives that this character isn't just a relic of the late 90s cartoons. He is a powerhouse IP that is sitting right there, primed for a next-generation experience. So you have to raise the obvious question. Why haven't they pulled the trigger yet? What is the reasoning for sitting on such a gold mine? Now you have to kind of put your tinfoil hat on for a bit. We know that a Batman Beyond game was rumored to be in the works years ago. There was concept art floating around, code names leaked, and then nothing. But the landscape has changed. The superhero genre in gaming is at a crossroads. We have Insomniac killing it with Spider-Man, giving us that traversal and speed that makes you feel like the hero. And then you look at what a Batman Beyond game could offer. It is literally the perfect counter to Spider-Man. Think about it. We aren't talking about the slow, methodical gliding of the original Arkham games. We are talking about rocket boots. We are talking about full-on flight in a vertical cyberpunk city. Now, if you're a console player, specifically on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, you know that we are starving for games that actually utilize the hardware. We want that 60 FPS performance mode, but we also want density. Neo-Gotham is the perfect playground for that. Imagine the ray-traced neon signs reflecting off the rain, the volumetric fog in the lower levels of the city, and the sheer scale of the buildings. It's just really interesting to me that we have all these pieces of the puzzle. You have the Arkham Knight ending, which, without spoiling it for the 3 people who haven't played it, basically sets up a world without Bruce Wayne as Batman. It sets up a nightmare Batman. Now, technically, that could be interpreted in many ways, but the most logical step forward, the one that honors the legacy while doing something completely new, is handing the cowl to Terry. It bridges the gap between the old guard and the new generation. And on top of that, you have the acclaimed comic run, Batman Beyond Neo Year. This story stripped away everything Terry relied on. It took away Bruce, it took away the safety net, and it forced him to survive on his own. That right there, that is a video game. It is the perfect setup for a tutorial mission where you lose your gadgets and have to build your arsenal back up. It fits the Metroidvania style of progression that the Arkham games mastered. So, the narrative foundation is already there. They don't even have to write it from scratch. They just have to adapt the brilliance that is already on the page. Now, following the reception of recent DC projects, I think Warner Bros. Is in a position where they need a guaranteed win. They need a critical acclaim type of release. A Batman Beyond game is that safety net. It's familiar enough that Arkham fans will jump in day one. But it's different enough to feel like a true sequel, not just an expansion. It's a match made in heaven. You keep the combat, that free-flow combat that changed the industry. You add the invisibility cloak mechanics, you add the electronic hacking, and you have a game that feels fresh but nostalgic. But to play devil's advocate, there is a risk, and this is where I get a little worried. If they decide to make this, they cannot treat it like a live service. That would be a total disaster. We've seen what happens when you try to force RPG mechanics and loot scores into a superhero brawler. It doesn't work. The Batman Beyond suit shouldn't have a gear score. It should be about unlocking upgrades through story progression. If they can stick to the single-player, narrative-driven routes, this game would be colossal. But if they try to chase trends, it's gonna flop. Now looking at the competition, Marvel's Wolverine is coming, Blade is coming. The darker, grittier superhero games are on the horizon. DC needs an answer to that. They can't just rely on Wonder Woman. They need their heavy hitter. But they can't just do another Bruce Wayne story. We've seen it, we've played it, we have experienced it in all of its glory. Terry offers a different personality. He talks back, he's a teenager dealing with school and relationships while fighting crime. It opens up the Peter Parker side of things that Bruce Wayne never really had. It adds a layer of relatability that the previous games missed, because Bruce is, well, he's a billionaire stoic. So when could we actually see an announcement? Well, with the Game Awards coming up every year and the Summer Games Fest, there are plenty of opportunities. But I think the timing right now is crucial because of the console life cycle. We are right in the middle of this generation. Developers finally know how to get the most out of the PS5 and Xbox Series X. If they started development now, or if they have been secretly working on it for the last 2 years, which, put your tinfoil hat on, is entirely possible, we could be looking at a release right before the next generation of consoles is even teased. It would be the swan song for this generation, just like Arkham Knight was intended to be for the last. And let's talk about the villains. A Batman Beyond game allows for a completely new rogues gallery. Blight, Ink, Shriek, these are villains that offer new gameplay mechanics. Ink alone could create horror-like sequences that we haven't seen since the Scarecrow missions. It refreshes the boss fights. We wouldn't be fighting the Joker for the 50th time, unless they bring him back via the microchip, which, let's be honest, they probably would. But even that dynamic, the Joker in your head trope, works even better with Terry, because Terry doesn't respect the Joker. He laughs at him. That dynamic is something I desperately want to see played out in cutscenes. Now, usually I try to keep my expectations in check. I know how the industry works. Projects get canceled, studios get shifted to support roles, but the silence from the main team at WB Montreal and even parts of Rocksteady suggests they're cooking something. And with the Suicide Squad roadmap slowing down, resources are likely shifting. It just makes sense. It is the most logical path of least resistance for a massive profit. And honestly, I'm at the point where I don't even care if it's a direct sequel to Night or a soft reboot. Just give us the suit, give us the city, give us the flight. The mechanics of traversing a futuristic city with active air traffic, weaving between hover cars while chasing down a flying vehicle, that is the next evolution of the superhero genre. Spider-Man 2 gave us the web wings and it felt amazing. Now imagine that, but with actual propulsion. It would be incredibly fast, incredibly chaotic, and incredibly fun. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think that if they're going to announce a new Batman game, it has to be this one. The Bruce Wayne well is dry for now. We need the refresh, we need the neon, we need the edge. And the fact that Screen Rant and other outlets are starting to talk about this more frequently, boom, what do you know? It usually means the conversation is happening behind closed doors too. These articles don't just pop up out of nowhere. There is a renewed interest, a collective consciousness that is pushing for this. I personally believe the insiders when they say that DC is restructuring their gaming strategy. They have to. And in that restructuring, Batman Beyond is their ace up the sleeve. It's the card they play when they need to win the crowd back. And right now, they need to win the crowd back. They need that massive win to restore faith in their ability to deliver top-tier single-player experiences. So, with that being said, the ball is in Warner Bros. Court. The fans are ready, the tech is ready. But that's going to wrap it up with this video, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Do you think we are finally going to get a Batman Beyond game, or is it just wishful thinking? Let me know down below. Like the video, subscribe if you know what he's on, and until next time,